Hello, everyone. Good day to all of you. I am thankful to the Lord for this opportunity to share His word to all of you. And I believe you're going through the Old Testament. And today, our passage is the whole chapter of Second Samuel, no, chapter 3. It's a long passage, but we will focus on one particular like a subplot, okay, of this narrative. So it is February, that's why it's a love month, and with that we will talk about vengeance, okay, on the during this month of love. You know, vengeance or revenge, these are heavy words. These are hatred in full range. These are heavy emotions. Actually, it is lustful to fight back, to get even. And these are lies, okay, that promise to give peace, but no one will ever find peace in revenge. So reading the wars in the Old Testament are disturbing to unsuspecting readers. It is beyond the scope of our study today to talk about the doctrine of war or answer the question, why does a holy God allow killings, not just killings, but killings of hundreds of thousands of people. Now, from our text in 2 Samuel chapter 3, let's focus on verse 30. That says, Joab and his brother Abishai murdered Abner because he had killed their brother Asahel in the battle at Gibeon. Now, in the backdrop of the aftermath of war, we are told that the war between the house of David and the house of King Saul lasted for a long time, but we see here that the house of Saul is beginning to weaken, but that of David is getting stronger. And with that, we have like a story within a story, and we will be basing our topic this morning, and I entitled it the cost of vengeance. The cost of vengeance. Number one, vengeance blinds us of the goodness of others. Vengeance blinds us of the goodness of others. Basing on the narrative, Abner was doing what God has intended for King David and his reign. No, in our text in 2 Samuel 3, 9-10, it says here, Abner, may God deal with Abner, be it ever so severely, if I do not do for David what the Lord promised him on oath. Verse 10, and transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and establish David's throne over Israel and Judah from Dan to Beersheba. Okay, in verse 12, then Abner sent messengers on his behalf to say to David, whose land is it? Make an agreement with me, and I will help you bring all Israel over to you. And so it happens. So in verse 17-21, Abner conferred with the elders of Israel and said, for some time you have wanted to make David your king. Now do it. For the Lord promised David, by my servant David, I will rescue my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines and from the hand of all their enemies. Abner also spoke to the Benjaminites in person. Then he went to Hebron to tell David everything that Israel and the whole tribe of Benjamin wanted to do. Verse 20, when Abner, who had 20 men with him, came to David at Hebron, David prepared a feast for him and his men. Then Abner said to David, let me go at once and assemble all Israel for my lord the king, so that they may make my covenant with you, and that you may rule over that your heart, all that your heart desires. So David sent Abner away and went in peace. This was what Abner did. He followed God's promise for King David and for all Israel. And King David welcomed him and showed his hospitality to Abner. It was a productive visit, and when he left, King David sent him away in peace. Sadly, when Joab knew about the good reception of King David to Abner, he was furious and he thought badly and negatively about the visit of Abner. Instead of respecting King David's actions toward Abner, he accused Abner of spying the land to take advantage of the territory of King David. He made up stories to put Abner on a bad light instead of trusting the wisdom of King David and believing in the promise of God. Vengeance looks only on the pain that we harbor. Vengeance amplifies the sin of others. And it leads us to our next point. No, the cost of vengeance. So vengeance blinds us of the goodness of others. Secondly, vengeance builds our anger towards our opponent. This is another deadly cost of vengeance. It fuels our anger. It is raging inside us. It is like a volcano that is about to explode. And Joab and his brother exploded. What did they do? In 2 Samuel, in our text, chapter 3, verse 26 to 27, Joab then left David and sent messengers after Abner. And they brought him back from the cistern of Sirah, but David did not know it. Now, when Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside into an inner chamber as if to speak with him privately. And there, to avenge the blood of his brother Asahel, Joab stabbed him in the stomach and he died. Now we can speculate and just imagine the anger in his face and the raging blood inside of him when he saw Abner. We can feel the dagger that slowly and deeply cut through the belly of Abner and how he groans in pain and surprised. Now because of his anger, Joab himself killed the man who killed his brother in a time of war. He wanted to satisfy himself by being the one to end his enemy's life. He wanted that day of revenge. He wanted to get even. And Joab might have thought he did good by his crime against an innocent man according to our narrative, but it did him more harm than good. And that is our last point. So the cost of vengeance, number one, vengeance blinds us of the goodness of others. Secondly, vengeance builds our anger towards our opponents. And number three, vengeance brings us more harm than good. In 2 Samuel chapter 3, 28 to 29, later when David heard about this, he said, I and my kingdom are forever innocent before the Lord concerning the blood of Abner, son of Ner. May his blood fall on the head of Joab and on his whole family. May Joab's family never be without someone who has a running sore or leprosy or who leans on a crutch or who falls by the sword or who lacks food. No, this was the pronouncement of King David, the man after God's own heart. We see here that vengeance brings more harm than good. No, we hear stories of family wars, family conflicts, family against family, or tribes against tribes. It never ceases when revenge is the goal. So Joab's family was affected by his vengeance. It is true to us today. No, the cycle of violence will just continue if getting even rules in the mind of the opposing parties. In reality, you can achieve getting even. It will just breed more hatred and hostility. So my brothers and sisters, it is true that it's difficult to just let go of the hurt, of the pain, of the crime against us. No, it may seem unfair to just forgive. It is good, humanly speaking, to really get back, no, and strike back. But the Bible is clear. We have the example of Joseph, how the Lord used him to preserve his family. He did not fought back against his brother because he believes in God's sovereignty. Let's go back to his story in Genesis chapter 50, 15 to 21. And when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs we did to him?" So they sent word to Joseph saying, "Your father has left these instructions before he died. This is what you are to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins and the wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now please forgive the sins of the servants of the God of your father." When their message came to Joseph, Joseph wept. Verse 18, his brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. "We are your slaves," they said. But Joseph said to them, "Don't be afraid." Listen to this. "Am I in the place of God?" 20, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children. And he reassured them and spoke kindly to them. No, instead of vengeance, it never occurred to Joseph's mind to take revenge against his brother. Why? Because he believed in God. He believed in God's sovereignty. Everything has a reason, and that is for the glory of God and for the good of those who trust on Him. So Joseph preserved his family. Finally, my brothers and sisters, Romans 12:18 to 20. Paul said, and he quoted this in the Old Testament, "If possible, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with all men." 19, "Never take your own revenge, beloved, but leave room for the wrath of God. For it is written, 'Vengeance is mine, I will repay,' says the Lord." Let's surrender everything to God, because it is a sin to take revenge. It is taking God's place to fight back. But instead, the Lord is asking us to forgive, even though how hard, how difficult it is. Because God knows that vengeance will just do more harm to all of us. So choose the hard way, but it is God's way to let go and let God do the defending of what others did to you. Thank you very much. God bless us all. Have a great day.